Hello friends, my name's TheRealEmile and welcome back to Forza Motorsport 5. In today's video we're going to start off the yearly Hot Hatch Championship with this. This is the Renault Clio V6. It's a pretty mental car this. It has a V6 there where the back seat should be. It also has a boot there where the engine used to be, and considering this was once a Renault Clio, it's not particularly a big boot. Yeah, I think this thing's absolutely mental and I love it. So we are going to do the early Hot Hatch Championship as I just said. So let's let Top Gear do the intro.
You can pretty much carbon date a chap, or for that matter the right kind of girl, by their hot hatch of choice. Like a first pin-up, a first LP, 30, or a first crush. Hot hatches are part of the fabric of us. Me, you, Clarkson, even May. Because it was okay to dream about hot hatches long before you were ever old enough to think about actually owning one. And it was okay to do that because we all might, if we worked hard at school, actually one day be able to afford one. So where are you going to start? Where hot hatches did, with the VW Golf GTI, or its slightly chubbier but faster offspring, the Mark II GTI 16 valve. Then again, maybe Volkswagens aren't your thing. So there are Honda Civic Type Rs or a Renault Clio V6. But remember what I said. You can tell a lot about someone by the hot hatch that he or she craves.
Indeed you can. If they crave a Vauxhall Corsa VXR, run away. Right. So as much as I do quite like Volkswagens, I like this one and particularly, we've used these in a Horizon 2 Let's Play. In fact, it was the first ever Horizon 2 playthrough I ever did on my channel, so we're going to avoid using these lot for now. So we are going to start with the Clio V6, as I said. It does need upgrading a little bit. So when I drove this car earlier, I was doing a bit of testing with it. It seems to have an incredible amount of understeer, so I'm going to try and help that by upgrading. Do we go sport or race? To be honest with you, the race don't add too much more PI on, so I think we should go race tyres just to be on the safe side. Go for big tyres, yes. Big as we can, there we go. Right, not that, sorry. I was thinking, to alleviate the understeer, do we want front aero on this? I don't know what that is. I don't really want to run it. I believe that's actually from the previous generation Clio, because this is the Phase 2 model. There was one before this that was by TWR. This is just by Renault in-house, I believe. Have they got anything interesting? I mean, that's a slightly smaller version of that. That looks slightly better, I guess, but it's not really worth it. That does decrease the drag a little bit, but it looks a bit silly. We'll leave it as it is, right. I presume we can't get any engine swaps in here as much. Yes, you can have a Ferrari 458 engine in here. It's completely mental. Turbocharging would bring us up too much PI. I did suspension and brakes anyway. Alright, weight reduction. We'll get some of this to throw some of the weight out of the car. Do we want a roll cage? It doesn't honestly add that much more weight. We'll throw it in just to make it a bit more stable. I'm going to put a gearbox in here because I'm not quite sure what the gear ratios are like as standard, but I presume they're not very good. And we can throw in an equal bit of power. I don't want to throw too much in because I pretty much assume it will throw the balance of the car off, but we're doing pretty good on power anyway. This thing comes with 251 horsepower as standard, which is an awful lot. Throw the flywheel in. Can we sneak in a clutch or a driveline or anything like that? We can't get a clutch in. I've got a funny feeling we can't get a driveline in either. Nope. So that's going to be it. Just let us do some quick tuning. Do the gear ratios just to... What are we on? Yeah, we don't need that much. Bring them in to about there. What do we get? 5 seconds to 60. 155 miles an hour top speed. That's pretty good. Alright. So I'm happy with that. That's the Clio built up. Right, let's just go and choose an event. Now, I did have my eye on a place I wanted to go. I wanted to go to Catalonia. Hopefully this track should be good for the straight line speed this Clio has. Because I know this is going to be pretty quick compared to the other cars. This has quite a lot more horsepower than I presume the other cars will be running. So, at least in C-Class anyway. So, yeah. Also, I do notice the slight irony in early hot hatches, and this is a 2003 car. Yeah, it makes me feel old. But, I guess there's not that many old hot hatches as it is, so I can kind of see why they've done it, but I don't know. There's a difference between the Mark 1, or different in age, sorry, between the Mark 1 Golf, even in this game that came out in 1984, and I believe the latest early hot hatch, if that makes any sense, is probably the 2004 Civic. Right, I know off the line this is pretty good, it gets away with it just a-okay. There we go. We got good launch, that's probably thanks to the mid-engined rear drive layout of this. I believe this is the only rear drive car in this class. So, I mean, that's something. We've got a Mark II Golf alongside us. They're very, very nice cars, the Mark II Golfs. I do like the Mark II. I prefer the Mark III, and a lot of people don't like the Mark III, but me personally, that's my favourite generation of Golf. I absolutely hate the Mark IV. The R32 is alright, but the GTI version of that just is not a good car at all. Try and get past that rabbit. The Acura RSX. I don't know if I'm going to use that in this playthrough, but I definitely want to do a video on that car at some point. I love the Acura RSX. And it's strange as well. I remember the first time I ever saw one of them was in Gran Turismo 3, and you couldn't actually buy it. I just used to absolutely love that car. I used to go out my way to do any event I could to see if I could unlock the Acura. I used to always get really mad if I didn't get it in blue, because there was loads of different colours for it. Which is kind of the annoying thing with, or used to be the annoying thing with Gran Turismo, sorry, is you used to do these big endurance races for a prized car, like one of the Polyphony F1 cars, and then it wouldn't give you a choice of colours, and you're stuck with whatever it gave you. I don't know, maybe I'm just weird like that. It definitely seems like we got rid of some of the understeer in this. This is a pretty good car. I was not expecting that from the Clio V6. I wish they kept making this car. They stopped making it back in like 2005. They said, oh, well, the front drive Clio is going to be good enough, and it just wasn't. It's not as memorable as this car. I'm sure it was a very good car in its own right. I don't mind the Renault Clio, but it just hasn't got the same lunacy as the V6 Clio. This is a true future classic, this car, definitely. I wonder what these are selling for nowadays. I can't imagine they'll be much over £5,000. I'd definitely invest in one, because you can't really lose much money on it. In fact, you'll probably gain money on it, because soon manufacturers, in fact even now, they just sort of stop making cars like this just purely to be mental. I mean, yes, you've got the Ford Focus RS and the new Civic Type R, which is a complete monster of a car, but I don't know, the Civic Type R, the new one, I really like the sound of it and everything, but I don't know, there's this strange thing in my brain that's going to tell me that's going to be, in my opinion, the last true mental hot hatch. Because a lot of hot hatches, even the Ford Focus now, are switching over to this four-wheel drive system. And four-wheel drive's great, don't get me wrong, I like four-wheel drive cars. And I like some of the four-wheel drive hatchbacks, the Mercedes A-Class A45 AMG, I think that's a fantastic car. Audi RS3 Sportback, I think that's a pretty good car as well. Even that R32, pretty good car. Not the Golf R, that was not a very nice car to drive. I still have nightmares about driving that around here. But yeah, and to me, a hot hatch should have front-wheel drive. It's just, I don't know, it's one of them things my brain likes. I like it when manufacturers push the limits of what is acceptable in, you know, drivetrains, which, let's be honest, front-wheel drive only gets used for hatchbacks. And the more you do this sort of abolish front wheel drive in favour of 4-wheel drive, the more you're just making it. We're definitely gonna have to brake through there. There is still a little bit of understeer in this car. Let's brake through there. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, and there's this disconnect with between the normal models and the hot hatch models. I'm sure the A45 AMG and the A-Class. I'm sorry, I'm rewinding a lot, guys. I do apologise. It's because I'm trying to focus my brain on talking. I can't do more than one thing at once. You should know this by now. But the A45 AMG, I presume it's completely different to... Well, not completely, but I can imagine there's many differences between that and the standard A-Class. It's like the Audi S1, I believe, is... They redesigned the rear end of that car, didn't they, to make it the S1 with the big 4-wheel drive system and whatnot. And it's just a worrying thing. I don't want to see the death of front-wheel drive hot hatches. I just think they're mental. You know, I even quite like the Vauxhall Astra VXR, and I don't like Vauxhalls at all. You probably know this by now, but yeah, even it's like the old Astra VXR, the 240 brake one. That thing was complete and utter mentalist. It's just the understeer on that car was utterly atrocious, but I did love it. I appreciate it when a manufacturer makes something that's just completely and utterly insane. Yeah, Jesus Christ, we're looking a bit battered. I didn't quite think I smacked it up that much, but I could make a joke about French cars here, but to be honest with you, I quite like French cars. A lot of people have a downer on them. They think they're unreliable, so on and so forth. And while you're not strictly wrong in saying that, I do quite like some French cars. I like this Clio. I'd like the normal Clio, actually. Not the new one. The new one's a bit too ugly and big for me, but you know, some models of Clio. I've looked at some Clios. I'm going to do a chase event as well on Yas Marina. But I've looked at some of the older Clios as possibly a next car, and yeah, they're pretty good. I mean, they're not exciting terribly, but they're very cheap, which is good. Yeah, what other French cars do I like? I quite like Peugeots. I like the 308. I like the 207. The 208, I've driven one of them quite extensively, and I quite like it. Ooh, French cars. I'm probably forgetting a big manufacturer. No, I can't think of anything more. I'm going to continue to think of more. But yeah, I quite like the French cars. There's been some good ones. 205 GTI, there you go. That's one I can't forget about. Yeah. Oh, there you go. There's a 308, speaking of which. Alright, what are we chasing down? We've got to chase down... two more cars. Both Golf R32s. Okay. See, 4-wheel drive versus rear-wheel drive. If you're going to make your hot hatches any drivetrain other than front-wheel drive, make them rear-wheel drive. I know that's just like terribleness. But, I don't know. You can't, as much as I appreciate the A45 and stuff, like the Barbarous one has like 400 horsepower. That's a hell of a lot in a hatchback and all that. But 4-wheel drive cars aren't quite as I can speak English sometimes. 4-wheel drive cars just don't have quite the same lunacy as their 2-wheel drive brethren. It's like if the Mercedes, that Peugeot's gone wide. It's like if the Mercedes SLS or the Mercedes C63 Black were 4-wheel drive. They wouldn't be as insane as the rear-wheel drive ones. It's like the E63 in this game is actually a 4-wheel drive one. And the figures on it are extremely impressive. I believe it's about 500 brake horsepower, 205 miles an hour. It's pretty insane, but it's just not as fun as the BMW M5. Although I will say my personal favourite super saloon, the Infiniti Q50 El Rouge, is a 4-wheel drive car, but oh god. Like I said, one day I'm making a video on that car. I just love that thing so much. 217 miles an hour from a 4-door saloon is absolutely insane. Well, we've left the R32s in the dust, proving that rear-wheel drive indeed beats four-wheel drive. Except in snow. Actually, I just thought BMW's 1 Series is rear-wheel drive, isn't it? I quite like the 1 Series, actually. They're very nice cars. I used to absolutely despise them, and then all of a sudden I started to like them. It's kind of like the Bentley Continental. I hated that car with every fibre of my being, and nowadays I look at it and go, eh, it's not bad. There's a blue Peugeot. My voice is dying, I apologise. I hope that didn't come across too harshly on the recording. Yeah, blue Peugeot is nice. Yellow Kia Ceed there. I haven't driven the Ceed in this game, I don't think. At least stock, anyway. Maybe I should give that a go. Oh yeah, that's the point. The Top Gear laps. So, I've actually thrown 13 cars round now as of recording this. And yeah, I'm quite liking doing it. I'm getting some positive feedback on it, so that's good. So, one thing I am planning on doing is, I've got to catch up on them, but the playthrough cars, like this Clio and the other two that we'll go on to use during this championship, as well as some of the older ones, which I've got to catch up on, so the Super Minis and the early Grand Tours and whatnot, I'm planning on throwing them round the track to see what times they'll set. Now, they won't be in their upgraded forms, I'm doing them standard. All the cars that go around there, unless it's extremely imperative that they get tuned, will not be tuned around there. And by that I mean if I decide to throw around the Volkswagen Scirocco touring cars from the Fail Race touring championship thing, then I'll, you know, call them touring cars or so on. But I won't be tuning the cars around here. So this Clio, for example, will be returned to stock and do its lap. I think I'm going to go around through it in reverse order, so it will be the 3 from this will get done on, well, I think it'll be Thursday, and then I'll probably take 3 more cars from the previous playthrough, which was, oh god, what was the previous playthrough? It was Vintage Grand Touring, wasn't it? Oh god, they're going to be terrible around here. But yeah, that's the plan. Hopefully it works. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the Top Gear laps. I hope you do check them out, because oh god, I clicked that by accident. Anyway, yeah, I stupid. But anyway, friends, I want to thank you very much for watching. My name's been TheRealEmile, and until next time, farewell.